Hello and greetings everybody. Hey, I got a phone call from my good friend Benny Miller who works over at the Humboldt Airport, and it made me think of a kind of a neat way to put some videos together, and I'm going to call these "You Ever Done This?" because Benny came up with something that everybody is going to run into at one time or another. And speaking of Benny, I'll bet there's one thing he has done that you've not done, and that is be involved with the refueling of a plane like this. Benny used to be the guy in Vietnam that flew in this airplane, that put the fuel in this airplane, so he's had a pretty exciting life up to this point. But he called me the other day with a little problem. Let me go to his page. Here we are. Anyway, he was saying, Richard, when I want to add up the number of miles, what I usually do is I click in this cell and then I go find the AutoSum button, which is right up here, and I click on it and it gives me the range that it thinks I want. If I hit enter, it gives me a number. Or if I want to get a total on the number of acorns over here, I can float on the fill handle in the adjacent cell and drag it over, and I get an answer like that. And then another thing he knows that he can do is he can click in this cell and he can press the Alt button and then go up and tap the equal sign on the keyboard, and it'll do the same thing and give him a total. So everything's looking pretty good so far. He's able to get totals as he enters the sum function in each of these cells. But his problem came into the situation where he was having 285 gallons, 147 gallons, and so on and so on. So normally he would click in this cell where he wanted his answer. He would go up and click on the AutoSum button, and it gave him the incorrect area that he wanted to sum. But he knew how to fix that. He'd go up and direct it. I want this range to be included in the sum function. So that's E2 through E19. Press enter, and oh my gosh, we've got 0. So Benny's question was, why is it not adding up these gallons that I've entered into the cell? I had an answer for him, but let's look at the information in these cells. When you look at 285 gallons here in cell E2, you see that is aligned on the left side of the cell. When you look at this 280 rutabagas, it's aligned on the right side of the cell. The way that data aligns itself in the cell is an indicator to the way that Excel sees that data. And let me demonstrate it over here in cell, we'll go to cell G2. And if I type the number 45 and press enter, it aligns that on the right side of the cell. Now if I type in gallons, G-A-L-L-O-N-S, and press enter, it aligns that to the left side of the cell. So there is a real clue. Excel is always going to take what it interprets as numbers and align it on the right side of the cell. If it sees something as text, it's going to align it on the left side of the cell. And here's another crazy one for you. If you type the word true, T-R-U-E, and press enter, it puts it right in the middle of the cell because it sees that as a logical argument. I won't go into logical arguments with you today, but it is good to know that it can interpret what it sees as a logical argument. The opposite of true is F-A-L-S-E. Press enter. That's another logical argument, and it puts it right down the middle, and it even capitalized it. The two we're interested in today are these two, numbers and text. All right, I'm going to get rid of this stuff. There's some formatting in that cell right there. Did you notice how it filled it in with blue? This is just a matter of Excel trying to maintain the pattern that I've set up here. We're going to get rid of all of that. A good way to get rid of all of the contents of a cell plus all the formatting that goes along with it is, let's go Alt-E-A-A, and that should clear everything out. Again, that's Alt-E-A-A. All right, now back to this. So what we've got going here is numbers and letters in a cell, so Excel sees this whole range as a word or text. So what we need to do is remove the letters G-A-L from this. And once we do that, then Excel will total this up. That's going to be pretty time consuming to get rid of all of those numbers. But let's just assume that this is the range of cells that we want to add up. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it over here. And now then this is going to be gallons. Another way to deal with this is if this is gallons, let's just type G-A-L-L-O-N-S at the top. And now then the quantities here are labeled as gallons. Another thing you could do is type G-A-L-L-O-N-S off to the side. That's provided you didn't need that column any longer. And then we could just fill that by double-clicking the fill handle. And so now that it would look like it, that's 124 gallons. And now then we can do a sum function, Alt equals, and then I'll press enter. And so now we have a total. Or we could select in the cell where we want the answer, click on the AutoSum button, and then that would give us a total. Press enter. Now, if we were just determined to have the word gallons in this same cell, let's get rid of this. There is a way of getting around it, and it's called custom formatting. So I'm going to select the cells that I want to include the word gallons in. And now then, what I normally do to get to the Format Cells dialog box is right-click and come down to Format Cells. Of course, another thing you can do is Control-1, and that will open up this same Format Cells dialog box. Now, we're interested in changing the way numbers are displayed. The easiest way to use custom formatting is let's get it as close as we can before we even go to custom formatting. So we're going to go to number. I want it to look like a number. I want no decimals behind, or no numbers behind the decimal. So this is pretty close. That's as close as I can get it within this particular box. So now I'm going to go to custom. And now here is where the magic happens. We want a number, which here is represented by the 0. Then I want a space. Now I've got to put all these additional characters that we're going to make magically happen there inside quotation marks. So I'll do quotation mark, space, G-A-L-L-O-N-S, and then close it up with a quotation mark. And right up here you're getting a preview of the type of formatting that's going to be applied to all those cells. I'll hit OK. And look at that. It put the word gallons in here. Let's say this changes, and we're going to make that say 1,000. 1,000. Now all I have entered is 1,000, and you see up in the formula bar I've only entered 1,000. Now I'm going to press enter, and the word gallons is added to that. So that's custom formatting, and that's another way to get things inside this cell and still not affect the way that Excel sees the digits that you've put in here. So Excel still sees this as a number and not as text. All right, thanks Benny for sending that in. We'll catch you later.